is where MAGA comes to talk. And boy, does MAGA got a lot to talk about today. I'm going to cover a lot. President Trump has given his first real interview since winning the election and becoming president again, which is really amazing. Yes, we do. Okay. And this is just, I get goosebumps every time I think about him being president again. It's just so exciting and amazing. So I'm going to cover a lot, and the main topic is going to be Pete Hegseth. And don't buy into any of this nonsense that what they're saying about Pete Hegseth and their opposition. In particular, I'm talking about Joni Ernst, because we're going to go through some things with Joni Ernst here, which will show what she's really all about on the stream here. But don't let any of these fake news stories out there let you think for a moment that's why Joni Ernst and these other never-Trumpers, Republican establishment holdouts are fighting Pete Hegseth for, okay? Yeah, I'll give you an example. They've decided he's an alcoholic. What, because a guy goes out on the weekend with his buds and has beers? That's what guys do. Now, I understand Democrats don't really understand what real guys do, probably. They tried to craft an image of what a real man is, and they came up with Tim Walz, and look how that went, right? But he's not an alcoholic. He didn't sexually assault anyone. These are all fake news stories to draw away from what the real issue is. And the real issue is that Joni Ernst is a military-industrial complex puppet who's part of the Republican establishment. That's it. And she supports these forever wars. The current one is this proxy war with Ukraine and Russia. What's a proxy war against Russia by the United States. And they know that all this is going to end. Now, I'll tell you, the defense secretary only carries out the orders of the president, okay? So if, God forbid, Pete Hegseth didn't make it, whoever he plugs in, like Pam Bondi after Gates, is going to do everything that Trump wants. So they're not going to stop it. But what they're trying to do, and they know they're not going to stop what Trump's going to do, what they're trying to do is get another Jeff Sessions type, another Mike Pence type into the cabinet. President Trump has done some real outside-the-box kind of thinking when it comes to picking cabinet members. And the never-Trumper, never-establishment permanent Washington class have not been able to get someone in there who's going to spy, who's going to leak, who's going to sabotage the second term. So it's not just about the forever wars and the military-industrial complex. They're trying to get a saboteur in the Trump cabinet. And Trump gave an interview, which is his first interview, really, his first major interview since winning the election with Kirsten Welker over on Meet the Press. He talks about Pete Hegseth. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, but I want to put into context a little bit here in the beginning, Joni Ernst. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe, and everyone who's already subbed, do me the favor of liking the video if you don't mind. I'd appreciate that, all right? And, of course, I'm not at the radio station. I'm not in my studio today. I am on the back porch. And it's a nice chilly day in not yet sunny South Florida, but I can see the sun's about to come up behind me. And here we go. Let's get into this with Joni Ernst as an example. And we've got a few examples. Here is Joni Ernst talking about Zelensky.
I think we can all recognize it has been a very emotional day. What I took away is that President Zelensky really is a fearless leader, and he is extremely inspirational to his people and to the rest of the world.
Now, first off, before we get to, I mean, this is freaking insane. Yeah, I know. Zelensky is a gangster and a dictator. Zelensky's term as president is over. He has suspended elections until the war is over. Well, what does that mean, right? You know, Fidel Castro, when he had U.S. support for the Cuban Revolution, believe it or not. And during the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro said when when they take over, there's going to be an election. When the revolution's over, we'll have an election. Well, the revolution's still going on in 2024. They haven't had a free election. That's why Castro always wore fatigues, like Zelensky always wearing this cosplay soldier uniform that he wears. Castro always wore fatigues because the revolution was going on, and as long as the revolution was continuing, there was no need to have a free and fair election. And that's why there's a U.S. embargo on Cuba today, because they haven't had a free and fair election. Well, that's what Zelensky is doing here. And not only did he suspend the war will never end as long as he's in power. He'll never allow it to be declared over, because then there'd have to be an election, and he doesn't want that. He's also suspended freedom of the press. An American journalist died in one of his prisons. He shut down a church, no freedom of religion. So here's Joni Ernst on her high horse with Pete Hegseth, a high horse built on lies, and here she is praising this gangster dictator Zelensky.
I think we can all recognize it has been a very emotional day. What I took away is that President Zelensky really is a fearless leader, and he is extremely inspirational.
Oh my goodness.
To his people and to the rest of the world.
Really?
But what we heard from the president this morning, President Zelensky, was that they need more help. They don't need it yesterday, tomorrow. They need it today.
See here you have it. Military industrial complex puppet. Notice she's just like a Democrat, Joni Ernst. Everything has to be today. No time to sit and talk. No time to debate. No time to look. No time to audit. No time to ask questions. It's got to be now.
And we need to step up, and America must do more. Providing the Ukrainians with the type of lethal aid they need, which, yes, includes MiGs, provides for air superiority.
MiGs, we're going to provide the MiGs. Aren't those Russian jets? Is there another kind of MiG that I'm not familiar with?
Provides for additional surface-to-air missiles.
Oh, great.
Whatever those means are, this administration should be signaling to President Zelensky, we are here to help, and we are here to provide. And by doing so, that will signal to Putin that we are together as NATO allies and partners standing strongly behind Ukraine. Let's send that signal to Putin that we're behind Ukraine. Let's tell Poland that they can move those MiGs to the Ukrainian pilots. And we will ensure that Ukraine and our NATO partners are getting all of the support that they need. America has to be on the side of freedom.
Yeah, that's why there's no elections in Ukraine, right? That's why Zelensky is president after his term is over, right? We're fighting for democracy where he suspended democracy. Democracy has to be preserved, so he suspended it. Jeez.
It's who we are. If we're not, the American people will suffer those consequences here at home, one way or another. We know that Putin doesn't stop at the border of Ukraine.
Oh, here they go with that Cold War bullshit with the domino theory again. Oh, if Ukraine falls, then it'll be Poland, and then it's all bullshit. It never happened, okay? You know, remember what Rush used to say. I know Joni Ernst isn't a Democrat, but she sure talks like one. Rush Limbaugh used to always say the Democrats have that old playbook. They pull out that old playbook, and you run the same old plays of that worn-out playbook. And the domino theory is one of the plays.
Let's protect our homeland, and let's assist those that need help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. There she is. So, so all this putting herself on this high horse of what she's really about and why she's really opposing Pete Hegseth and all of this is all lies. All lies. I want to play. This is, hold on a second here. This is the greatest president ever, Donald Trump, with his interview with Kristen Welker. Let me pull this up. This is the president talking about Pete Hegseth. And, I know a lot of people are saying that are MAGA, right? Well, nobody's perfect. Are you perfect? We've all had problems. Pete Hegseth isn't perfect. Let me tell you something. That's a trap, okay? That's an acknowledgement that there's something wrong with this guy. Okay, I don't care how he treated his first two wives. I'm married to my first wife, like the board of directors at Chick-fil-A. But President Trump's been married 3 times. President Reagan was married twice. Joni Ernst, I'll get to an article later. She was accused of infidelity by her husband and a divorce with somebody in the military. So I'm going to get into that story. So it's not about any of that. And to say, well, he's not perfect. No man is perfect. There was one man who was perfect, and that was Jesus. No man, no living man is perfect. But to go that route acknowledges like there's some truth in this crap that they're trying to push our way. Now, Kristen Welker here, she interviewed President Trump. He's talking about Pete Hegseth. And, she's the hostess of Meet the Press, Kristen Welker. She is a D.C. permanent Washington class insider. You got to remember with Kristen Welker, when Obama was president, Kristen Welker, the host of Meet the Press, who's interviewing President Trump here, and this full interview will air, I guess, tomorrow, Kristen Welker and her parents spent Christmas Eve and Christmas morning in the White House with the Obamas when Barack was president. Think about that. He had little kids at the time. That's how connected she is, that she spent Christmas Eve and Christmas morning with the Obamas when Sasha and Malia weren't going around smoking doobies like they do now, but were little girls. But anyway, here's President Trump with Kristen Welker talking about Pete Hegseth. Oh, hold on, I gotta turn the volume up.
Pete is doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton, he went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
Since you bring him up, do you still have confidence in Pete Hegseth?
Yes, I do. I really do. He's a very smart guy. I've known him through Fox, but I've known him for a long time. And he's basically a military guy. I mean, every time I talk to him, all he wants to talk about is the military. He's a military guy.
Have you gotten assurances from senators that he's going to be confirmed? Do you think he can make it?
No. I think he will, yeah. I've had a lot of senators call me up saying he's fantastic.
You don't drink yourself.
No.
You've talked about how devastating drinking can be.
No.
How concerned are you that the person who you picked for this top job at the Defense Department, at least according to those who've worked with him, has struggled with drinking?
Okay, now that's another a bullshit thing, okay? This, I tell you, Meet the Press. They used to have this, this is insane. They had this fake talking point that he would be drunk at work. Everyone who worked with him at Fox has debunked that. Everyone at Fox has debunked that. But they're still going with the lie. The other thing is, what are the Democrats suggesting? Bring back prohibition? Any guy who has beers on the weekends or after work with his buddies or coworkers has some kind of a problem? This is interesting to me. These are the people that have been legalizing drugs, and now they're trying to bring back prohibition. This is so bizarre.
Job at the Defense Department, at least according to those who've worked with him, has struggled with drinking.
But I've spoken to people that know him very well, and they say he does not have a drinking problem.
Yeah. I mean, these people are out of their freaking minds. Oh, yeah, we got another clip of Ernst we're going to get to. It's amazing to me how these liberal talking points and basically slanders and lies become reality for these people, right? They just become reality. They've just decided that he's had a drinking problem when all of his coworkers have come out and said that is not true. And I've watched him on the Fox and Friends weekends for years. Have you ever seen him drunk or looking hungover? I don't think so. No. But that doesn't stop the left from continuing with their talking point BS. So, for some reason, I don't know exactly how this has happened. Maybe it's been because of the media. I don't know. But somehow Joni Ernst, because she was sexually assaulted in college, every man who's has to go to her and get her approval. She's the approval of men. because she was sexually assaulted in college, she has some superpower where a man comes to her and she can touch him and tell if he's a good guy or a sexual assaulter or something. I don't understand why Joni Ernst, I feel sorry for what happened to her. But I would tell you this, that if that issue is defines everything about her, and every vote and confirmation and decision she makes, she's suffering from severe trauma, and she should not be in any important decision making position, because she's dealing with such trauma that she can't get over, that affects everything in her life. All of us have had things happen to us, okay? All of us have been through situations, have had good times and bad times, have had traumatic experiences and everything else. But do you go through your life having your whole life defined by those tragic, not, you know, the way Joni Ernst is talking, you know, well, I got my past, I got to look at this cup of coffee and determine, this is insanity to me. She's become a megalomaniac, but she's also a fraud, as you've seen in the earlier bits I played. But look at this one. Listen to this. This is Joni Ernst.
Today, many people across the United States are honoring the life of George Floyd. And so I would just encourage everybody to take pause and really reflect upon the loss of his life and recognize that it was taken way too soon. And it is very unfortunate that his death was the catalyst for talks that needed to happen a very long time.
What talks are those? What is she talking about? You know, Derek Chauvin, I promise you, was a Democrat. A cop in that town? Are you kidding?
So I think it is a great time for us to reflect upon the life and the loss of George Floyd and understand the significance of moving forward and having really positive, encouraging talks about what it is to be a person of color across the United States.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't know if this is just me. I don't know if any of you feel the same way, but how it seems like oh, that you lost the sound there? Oh, hold on, guys. I'll pull it up. Hold on, let me pull it up for you guys. Hold on, guys. Let me pull it up for you guys over here. You're not missing much. You're missing you're missing not getting sick to your stomach from Joni Ernst. Were you able to hear the president's clip that I played, by the way? Let me know. Could you? You were able to hear the president, but you couldn't hear Joni Ernst? Okay, good. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can pull up the Ernst audio again. Hold on.
The United States are honoring the life of George Floyd.
Okay, for some reason it's not going to let me play that one for you, but that's okay. I'll tell you, what she's doing in that particular clip is honoring the life of George Floyd. Okay, she's honoring the life of George Floyd, and she's talking about in that clip. She's talking about how we have to have a discussion and a dialogue about what it means to be black in this country, and his passing has opened up a dialogue and a discussion that must be had. Basically, Joni Ernst is echoing the BLM rhetoric on, as Mark Dice calls him, Saint George Floyd. Let me see here. These other clips should work. Sometimes that happens. Hold on. Because I have a couple more clips that I want to share with you guys. Let me see here.
About cancel culture, which...
Okay, yes, here we go. Now, here's Joni Ernst. I mean, this is insane. This is, yeah, she's white shaming. That's correct. I mean, am I the only one that has kind of had Joni Ernst under your radar? Because I didn't realize what a liberal fake Republican she was. Did you? I just never really realized this before. Listen to her. This is This is Joni Ernst talking about Liz Cheney on The View.
We've spoken here a bunch about cancel culture, which former President Obama warned can go overboard sometimes. And you say Liz Cheney was a victim of it. Can you explain that to me?
All right, Liz Cheney's a victim. This is Joni Ernst. Liz Cheney is a victim.
Well, yes, and I do admire Liz Cheney very much.
Oh, my goodness.
And while there are a number of things that I may not agree with her on, for her to
See, now keep in mind, Liz Cheney is basically Eva Braun of our time. She's a war profiteer. Everything she has is because of her dad's war crimes, lying about WMDs. How many millions of lives have been affected and families destroyed? How many people have lost their lives or lost their limbs? Every time you see one of those Wounded Warrior commercials or a Tunnel to Towers commercial, brought to you by Cheney's Lies. And she goes around on some moral high horse, Eva Braun Cheney here.
To me?
Well, yes, and I do admire Liz Cheney very much. And while there are a number of things that I may not agree with her on, for her to come forward, stand up, and say what she feels is important to say is okay. People may not like it, just as I may not like AOC and some of the things that she says out there. But for everyone to try and silence her voice, she has a voice, and it's okay to use it. I think that's why we're all elected, is to use our voices. So I think we see too much of this across the country anymore. But what I would say,
she's out of her mind.
Is that when you use your voice, you do need to be respectful of one another. We can certainly disagree on policy. We can disagree on different issues and how we arrive at those solutions. But I do think it's time that we tone down the political rhetoric. We recognize that we're all human beings and that we have various constituencies that we need to represent, and certainly do that in a respectful and dignified manner.
Wow. This is complete freaking insanity to me. Okay? This is complete insanity to me. I mean, I am in really complete shock over this. There's another article I want to find. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Pulling up an article. I mean, these are pretty shocking. I don't know why we weren't paying closer attention to Joni Ernst all these years, but we're paying attention now. And everything about Joni Ernst is the complete opposite of what I thought. I guess a lot of it's because she has some military experience. You just assume she's a good person. She's not. She is a terrible, terrible person. There's no getting around it. Look at this. This is in the Federalist. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst endorsed transgender military service. Well, isn't that interesting? Senator Joni Ernst, Republican of Iowa, previously endorsed allowing trans-identifying individuals to serve in the military, a position military specialists and reports have warned hampers the force's overall readiness. The recently unearthed revelation stems from comments that GOP Senator Joni Ernst made during an August 9th interview on PBS's Firing Line with Margaret Hoover. Now, Margaret Hoover, I mentioned her. She's somebody that's kind of under the radar. This shows you, there's Margaret Hoover on PBS. I've seen her on CNN and stuff, too. This shows you how deep the Washington insider class are. Margaret Hoover is the great-granddaughter of President Herbert Hoover, who was president almost 100 years ago. So you've got this permanent Washington. Think about that. That's insane. This permanent Washington class is so deep. When someone like Trump, when someone like Pete Hegseth comes in from the outside, they think that they're the lords and ladies of the manor. It's like Downton Abbey up there. Herbert Hoover's great-granddaughter. Isn't this crazy? PBS's Firing Line with Margaret Hoover. The host asked Joni Ernst, an Army veteran and Rhino Rat, Republican against Trump, whether she agrees with Republicans' sentiment that the military has become too woke. Joni Ernst said she doesn't believe those who serve in uniform are woke, but admitted there's civilian leadership of the military that is woke. She then cited trans-identifying individuals serving in the armed forces as an example of those in uniform and expressed belief that those who qualify should be permitted to serve in the military. We have transgender people serving in our military. They will bleed red just like the rest of us, Joni Ernst said. The Iowa Republican pushed the baseless claim that a person can transition into the opposite sex. This is in the Federalist I'm reading from, saying she doesn't think the military should be integrating. I mean, this is... So she's in favor of trans... Did any of you know this before the last couple of days? I did not. And I don't think most of you did either. This is nuts. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you would like to support my program, of course, you could become a Patreon supporter. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of the video. And if you become a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes with my wife, Kathy. And my wife and I, we also post a lot of things up on our Patreon page that we do not post anywhere else, that is exclusive to Patreon supporters, on top of the commercial-free editions of all of the podcast episodes. And you get the podcast a little early too, if you're a podcast Patreon supporter. So if you just go to the link, I'll pin it in the chat in a moment too. The link in the description. This is my Patreon page, and there's different membership levels and all kinds of things and perks. And you can see we post a lot of things up there that we post nowhere else, including commercial-free editions of my podcast. So if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, I'd appreciate it. And those of you that are Patreon supporters, thank you so much for your support. I'll pin the Patreon link at the top of the live chat, but again, there's also a link in the description of the video, guys, okay? And I appreciate your support. So let's get back to this. So Joni Ernst is building this entire story around this slanderous allegation against Pete Hegseth about this sexual assault, and which has been debunked. So they moved on to adultery. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, they tell us this is illegal. Well, there's been allegations against her. Look at this. That's right. This is in the Army Times. Iowa Senator Ernst has denied allegations of an affair with a soldier while deployed. Holy smokes. Well, Cedar Falls, Iowa Senator Joni Ernst denied allegations by her ex-husband that she had an affair with a subordinate. Oh, my goodness. That's court-martial offense while she served in the military. The Iowa Republican answered questions from reporters about that and other allegations at a town hall event at the University of Northern Iowa campus in Cedar Falls, the Des Moines Register reported. In court documents, Joni Ernst's ex-husband accused her of having an affair with one of her soldiers while she was deployed as a company commander. She said Wednesday that she cares about all my soldiers, that the allegations was not true. Joni Ernst also accused her ex-husband of having an affair and physically assaulting her during an argument before she was elected to the Senate. Gail Ernst, that's the husband, denied in court documents that he had an affair, but the abuse allegations were not addressed. They couldn't get comment from him, and I guess that's the ex-husband right there. That's her best bud, I guess, Joe. Joni Ernst said Wednesday at the event that she believed the court documents would be sealed from the public and was caught off guard by news reports on the allegations. I would love to point the finger and say somebody screwed up, somebody leaked, but they're out now, so I'll have to deal with it, she said. But what I want people to understand is that I am the same person I was last week. You just know more about what's inside of me now. So here she's had an allegation against her. What does that mean? Should her entire life be judged on this allegation? Should she be out of the Senate? Should she be off the committees? Should she be punished? Should she be denied future employment? Should she be forever judged by this crime, because this is a crime, whether or not it's true, because an allegation has been made. That's what she's saying with Pete Hegseth. Wow. Yeah. A subordinate, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize what a lowlife she was. I had no freaking idea. Did you? Who did? Who did? Well, we all do now. You know, I don't enjoy doing this, but it's got to be done. Look at this. Here's a tweet of hers. Hold on. I just lost the tweet. Where's the tweet I had? Here it is. Okay. Today, this is Joni Ernst. She tweeted this in 2021. Today, I voted to confirm Lloyd Austin to be the next Secretary of Defense. This is this moron that we have now. As a member of the Senate Armed Forces Committee, I will work with Secretary of Defense Austin and hold him accountable to help prevent sexual assault. See, there she is. This past trauma. To prevent sexual assault in the military, ensure our troops are supported, and to curb wasteful spending at the Department of Defense. Lloyd Austin, who went AWOL as Defense Secretary without telling the... Oh, cat fight outside. That's not one of my cats. That's a stray in the neighborhood. I don't know if you guys could hear that. I mean, you know, you've heard of the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, this is a textbook example of that.
I think Nikki Haley.
Okay,
is
now
the
listen to this
whole
one.
Package. She is
Oh, yeah, Nikki Haley's the whole package. Listen to this. This is, of course, as you can see, this is Joni Ernst with Maria Bartiromo.
Would you be poised to recommend Trump choose Haley as his vice president candidate if he is in fact the nominee?
Well, if he is the nominee, absolutely. I think Nikki Haley is the whole package. She is a very firm leader, and she gets foreign policy. So I really believe in Nikki Haley, and I think she would be an exceptional choice either for president or for vice president.
All right, she did a great job as you.
Wow. So here she is. I think, look at that. This is nuts. Here's Joni Ernst. This is two things with that. She's endorsing Joni Ernst for president during the primary when President Trump was running. Wow. Then she wants her to be vice president. You know, if you notice, everything keeps going back to Nikki Haley. Is she the only play they got? They keep trying to push Nikki Haley on us constantly, nonstop. What is it with their, and what the hell does she understand other than having sex in the family car with men other than she's married to in parking lots? Because she's military industrial complex, that's why. Joni Ernst is done. I mean, she may stay in Congress in the Senate for the rest of her life, but she'll never be trusted. I mean, she's bad. I mean, let me know in the live chat if you're watching live. If you're not watching live, let me know in the comments below. Is it fair to call Joni Ernst a never Trumper at this point? Here she is campaigning and endorsing Nikki Haley over Trump in the primary. Would you consider her to be a never Trumper at this point? I would. Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. She is a never Trumper. She is a fake, phony, and fraud. Yeah, Nikki Haley. Why do they keep trying to push Nikki Haley on us so hard? What is that about? Because she's the military-industrial complex. Yeah, Greg Kelly, somebody in the chat mentioned Greg Kelly. I talked about Greg Kelly. You know what? I realize, you know, what it is with Greg Kelly is I think he feels slighted by Trump. He feels that he's owed some appointment by Trump, or at least an offer for all the work he's done for him on television. How arrogant. That would be like me, because no one's been promoting Trump more than me. Like I should get an appointment? What? And he sees Pete Hegseth as beneath him, some weekend guy, and he's jealous. He's pissed off. He feels slighted, Greg Kelly. That's it with him. This is nuts. By the way, make sure you subscribe if you're new to my channel. Just hanging out on the back porch this morning, having some coffee. Welcome, everyone. She's a rhino. You know, rhino, Republican in name only. I know what I mean, but it seems so mild. I like to call them rats. Republicans against Trump. I've tried to get that going for a couple years. It's never quite picked up. Rats. Republicans against Trump. I think that's more fitting. Yeah. But I think that's it. He feels slighted by Trump. I got my autographed MAGA hat from the president. I'm satisfied. But Greg Kelly, he's not. She's worse than a rhino. Yeah, she's really bad. I mean, there's just no getting around it. I mean, Joni Ernst is, she's just bad news. She's just really bad news. Now here is Pocahontas. Let me pull up Pocahontas here.
Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, thinks that women in the military should not serve in combat.
Yeah. Do you think women should serve in combat? Hell no. They get captured, they get raped, and there's all kinds of other problems. They can't physically compete with men. Look at what's going on with the sports, right? Look at how the Olympics with the boxer or the swimmers or the volleyball. The women are getting destroyed by mediocre men in these competitions. Women that are at the top of their sports are getting destroyed by mediocre men. You're going to put that up in combat against the enemy in a life or death battle? I don't think that's too smart there, Pocahontas.
Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, thinks that women in the military should not serve in combat.
Damn straight.
He's accused of raping a woman and
oh my goodness, yeah, which has been completely debunked.
buying her silence with an NDA. He went to work events drunk and preyed on his female employees.
Lies, all debunked.
He's mismanaged a veterans nonprofit so far into debt they nearly went bankrupt. We cannot have a man like Pete Hegseth in charge of our national security.
Nope. Well, what about the fraud she committed to get the job as a professor at the university, claiming to be Native American Indian? Right? Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, this is going to end right. President Trump, he told Kristen Welker, he not only does he stand behind people, but President Trump said, though, he hasn't gotten the word from the senators that he's going to be confirmed. You know, these never Trumpers, there's a few things that they're all about, okay? One, they're desperate to have a victory over President Trump. That's one. Okay, let me see if I can get this one working now.
During the life of George Floyd.
Okay, yeah, okay. Let me pull this one up now. I got it pulled up now. This is the one I couldn't get to play earlier. Let me see here. This is the one of Joni Ernst that wouldn't play earlier is... I keep losing the clip. Here, let me do it this way. This tells you everything about her. I mean, there's nothing I've come across about Joni Ernst that is positive. It's all negative. Listen, this is her talking about George Floyd.
Today, many people across the United States are honoring the life of George Floyd.
My goodness.
And so I would just encourage everybody to take pause and really reflect upon the loss of his life and recognize that it was taken way too soon. And it is very unfortunate that his death was the catalyst for talks that needed to happen.
What talks need to be happening in the aftermath of George Floyd? Here she is with the BLM, Black Lives Matter talking points.
Very long time ago. So I think it is a great time for us to reflect upon the life and the loss of George Floyd, and understand the significance of moving forward and having really positive, encouraging talks about what it is to be a person of color across the United States. And so I'm so thankful for the great conversation that we just had with Senator Tim Scott, and a way that we can move forward and talk about racial injustice and how we can solve it and be...
listen, I'm not supporting what happened with George Floyd. However, if you're concerned about racial injustice, I would say Derek Chauvin's a victim of racial injustice. I mean, like Daniel Penny in New York. Now, they tossed out the big charge, but Bragg's still going after him. Give me a break. Derek, would Derek Chauvin be in prison if he was not white?
Part of the solution, not part of the problem. It is a really great time for us to come together and do that. So upcoming events, I'll be sitting down with Chaplain Barry Black, who not only is a wonderful veteran of the United States Navy, but also serves as our Senate chaplain and provides prayer for us every single day.
She's going to sit around prayer circles for George Floyd? What a lunatic.
Just to understand his leadership opportunities and where we can go in the future. I also want to give a shout out to a gentleman I've worked with not just since the death of George Floyd, but for many years now, a rapper hip-hop artist in Des Moines by the name of Will Keeps.
Will Keeps, does he know Corn Pop?
Will has a wonderful nonprofit organization that has worked with underprivileged children in the Des Moines metro area, helping them overcome the challenges of race and injustice. Mr. Will Keeps' organization starts right here, is exactly the type of organization that we should look to find those types of solutions of inequality throughout our community. So I look forward to tackling this issue, continuing a conversation, and hopefully it's not one that we easily forget.
Okay. So here we have Joni Ernst, who is crazy. I mean, yeah, she's out of her flipping mind, Joni Ernst. I mean, there's no getting around that. I don't know who that guy is she's talking about. I don't know if he's good guy or bad guy. But I know this, she ain't no Republican. I know that's a double negative, which means she is a Republican, but you know what I mean. She is not a Republican. She is bad freaking news. And she's really done us a favor because now we know she's come out of the closet. She's blown her cover. We now know Donnie Brasco is not with the family. Yeah, that's right. He's a friend of theirs, not a friend of ours. She's bad news. I am really shocked at her. I never really paid too much attention to her, and I think most of us are probably in that same boat. But there's been so much purging of the Republican establishment. They don't have that many left. So we're hearing from people that were background people before, but they're the last holdouts of the Republican establishment. Now, of course, today is December 7th, and that is the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, and everybody knows that. And I got to tell you, there was another event, a historic event that was totally blacked out from the media, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, but I have no doubt in my mind that Franklin Roosevelt knew about the attack before it happened. I never believed any of that. I heard that stuff all my life about these conspiracy theories, and I never bought any of it until I saw what they did to Trump. And then I realized they're all true. And if you go back, do you agree with that, by the way, that FDR knew about Pearl Harbor in advance and allowed it to happen to get us into the war? If you go back and you look, the tragedies that happened with the ships that were hit at Pearl Harbor, and it was certainly a tragedy, and a lot of ships were hit. But for the most part, those were old rust buckets. At the time of the attack on Pearl Harbor, the most advanced naval vessels in the world were our aircraft carriers. None of the carriers were in port. The carriers were out to sea. Why? You know, a bunch of rust buckets from World War I, and for the most part, were in port, and they had all the most modern technology out at sea. Our carriers, you know, and that tells you something, doesn't it? And that's the military-industrial complex wasn't born after World War II. It was born obviously before, and it's pretty disgusting, isn't it? You know, and that's what I'm thinking about today, you know. But there was a big anniversary yesterday that no one in the media wanted to talk about. Yesterday, the 159th anniversary of the Republicans' passage of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. Republicans abolished slavery 159 years ago yesterday. That's right, with the 13th Amendment. Republican lawmakers, because remember the Confederates were Democrats, they had left the Union, and the Democrat insurrection against the federal government began when they left the Union and illegally formed the Democrat Confederate States of America to maintain slavery. Don't let anybody tell you that that war was over anything but slavery. It was about the Democrats. Yeah, they'll say states' rights. Yes, the Democrats wanted to maintain the states' rights to own slaves. Republican lawmakers on December 6, 1865, passed the 13th Amendment banning slavery. Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. This is very important thing that happened in history. On January 31st, 1865, the House passed the proposed 13th Amendment with a vote of 119 to 56. President Lincoln did not live to see the amendment ratified, however, because of his assassination. Of course, assassinated by a Democrat, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat. Every Republican in the House at that time, there were 84 of them, voted in favor of the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery. 50 Democrats voted against the amendment. Look at that. Isn't that something? 50 Democrats voted against the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery. Every Republican voted for it. That's right. Isn't that something? Oh, they put a list here of civil rights events. September 22nd, 1862, Republican President Abraham Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation. January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation implementing the Republicans' Confiscation Act of 1862 takes effect. The Democrat Party continues to support slavery. February 9th, 64, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton deliver over 100,000 signatures to the Senate supporting Republicans' plans for a constitutional amendment to ban slavery. And it goes on through the whole thing. But every Republican voted to end slavery. 50 Republicans voted to maintain it, plus the rest of them were fighting the Civil War. So there you have it. Republicans ended slavery. Democrats began a insurrection against the federal government known as the Civil War to maintain it. And look at what they're doing today. Oh, man. I tell you. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. If you don't mind, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. And if you're already subbed to my channel, do me the favor of liking the video if you don't mind. All right? Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time.